Welcome to the Business Your Way podcast. I'm your host, Caryn Gillen. And today I want to ask you a question and I want you to think about your answer. I'll throw a bunch of other words and answers out there, but your answers are the most important. The primary question I'm asking today, because I'm really feeling it for myself, is what are you training it for? What are you training for? You're in this life. You're going through all these practices every day. You're eating food, you're moving your body, you're using your brain. What are you training for? What's it all for? What are you here to do that you are in preparation for, that you are keeping yourself together for, that you are growing your energy to do? I've been thinking a lot about strength, fuel, sleep, hydration, not because I'm trying to create a smaller body, which I think a lot of us kind of, when we think about food and training and that sort of thing, what we think is getting smaller. That's not what I'm talking about or what I'm thinking about. What I'm thinking about is what's the right training to keep me at the place where I want to perform? How do I want to be performance ready? How do you want to perform? And what supports you to perform at the level and feeling the way you want to feel? I think there's a lot of us doing incredible work and feeling crappy in a lot of the parts of our lives. And the invitation for me lately has been, how do I train for this life? How do I care for this me, this person, in a way that supports how I want to show up and perform the way I want to perform? So when I don't take care of myself, I get certain results. When I do take care of myself, I get certain results. When I let myself show up for life in a way that really fuels me, I get a different result in everything that I do. And so I'm just thinking about performance lately, not as a transactional relationship with my body of I'm going to do this and then you better give me that, but more as a like, we're in this together. In fact, we are each other. I'm not different from my body. I don't get to exist without it. Here we are doing this life together. How do I want to feel? What works for us, for me? And how can I be more adamant about taking care of it in the way it needs to be taken care of, taking care of me in the way I need to be taken care of, taking care of you in the way you need to be taken care of? I'm kind of done with depletion. It's just not really very fun. So how can you show up and think of yourself as the elite athlete that you are in the life that you have? Because for me, that's the one way I can think about it that helps me tap into the energy I mean. And I was an athlete for a lot of my life. And and I don't think we had to take that great of care of ourselves in high school or even college. But at this point, if you want to get high performance out of yourself, you have to care for yourself in a high performance way. So that's just my question, is like, what are you doing to perform, to outperform, to better perform, to care greatly and kindly and honestly with yourself, and what really works for you? So some of the ways this is coming up with clients is I can only do one social thing a day. So if you are an introvert and you're like, yeah, I'll do all the things on that one day and then I'll be home all week. No, because that's going to tank the next 3 or 4 days because you're a one experience a day kind of person. And that's okay. How do you be honest about that and like let yourself live the truth of that? It could be that you are always on Zoom all day and you want to move back to phone meetings because it's so much easier to be with yourself when you're not having to be trained directly into that Zoom camera all day long. Pay attention to what works and pay attention to what doesn't work. I was thinking this morning about like, I think I actually have more of like a 9-day week. In an ideal world, I would have a 9-day experience of life in each week. There would be a slower start. All it means basically is like, I like a little more spaciousness. But because I don't have access to a 9-day week, because in my life I have two people who I live with. One of them works on a school or a camp schedule, and one of them works on a regular work schedule. So they're living a 7-day week. So I got to get on board with that, right? If I lived by myself and I didn't have other people in my life, I would change how I thought about time. But I live in the world with these people, so I got to be here now. So how do I add the space I need to be who I am best here to be inside of this life, creating this business, serving these clients? And, I think there's lots of examples where you know yourself and you keep learning the same thing over and over and over again. And how can you at this stage put in a system that says, hey, that's just the rule about me. We don't have to learn that again. I don't have to hit that brick wall one more time. I can take that and let's just like support myself with that one. That's my invitation for you, is when you have the awareness of what helps you perform the best, how do you put that into place? And can you do that right now this week? Okay, that's all I have for you. Send this to your friend who either has been thinking about energy levels and performance, or you want to talk to about like, what does this mean for both of us? And then listen to this together and have a good conversation about it. All right. Thank you for being here. It's good to podcast with you today. Have a good rest of your day.